Joining me is the country's top finance writer, Terry McCrann of the Herald Sun. Terry McCrann, you've covered a lot of our economic history, including the Whitlam years. What does what we see today fit in with all that?
Andrew, the Whitlam government for nearly 50 years, has been the gold standard in sheer, awful, catastrophic incompetence in government. Well, that goes beyond politics, that goes beyond ideology. It was just chaos. Anybody that was around through those 3 years remembers that. Now we see the Albanese government seemingly determined to finally bury that status and to take over the mantle of being unquestionably the worst government and to be the worst government to last right through the 21st century. I mean, as you discussed earlier, Andrew, trying to interrogate what they proposed and what they're imposing, it's like diving into an Olympic-sized pool full of sludge and try to decide which end you'll dive into first. I mean, it's just wall-to-wall, total, abysmal incompetence. And at the end of the day, the biggest question is whether it will, or the most immediate short-term question is whether it will actually achieve what it's supposed to achieve, which is to stop rising coal, rising electricity prices, rising gas prices. I mean, it's just mindlessly dumb in its most basic form, and it's also, as you've indicated, a red-letter day because we really have the government engaging in confiscation of an asset. Forcing that coal, forcing that gas to be sold and forcing it to be sold at a price which is below market.
But which bit of today is the bit that alarms you most, right? Is it the price cap on gas, and there's one on coal coming, or is it the promise to the Greens to spend more of our money to get more Australians using more electricity and less gas when we're already so short of electricity that we're being warned by the regulator blackouts are coming?
Well, it's the second, Andrew, clearly, for two reasons. One, as James has indicated, we've got now a statement that the Labor government is in coalition with the Greens, and as James put it, the Greens are driving the bus. That's extremely, extremely disturbing. We've got a far-left Labor government embracing an even further left Greens and letting them set the agenda. But secondly, as you indicated, it's just insane to promote greater use of electricity as a substitute for gas when you're trying to and try to close down the gas industry at the same time. Because if we embrace this all supposed wind and solar renewable future, one thing you have to have is so-called firming power, and the only firming power that works is gas. So you really need more gas in the system, more gas-fired power stations in the system, if you're going to promote more use of electricity. Yes, you might turn that switch at the wall and electricity comes out, but much of it will ultimately be coming from a gas-fired power station. That's if it's coming at all. That's if you're going to avert blackouts. In the last few weeks, Andrew, when you look at the UK, which is further down this insane path towards net zero than we are, more than 50% of the electricity is coming from gas-fired power stations. When the wind don't blow and the sun don't shine, it has to come from somewhere. In the UK, it has to come from gas, even though they have, which we have no intention of embracing, nuclear-fired power stations as well. Even with those nuclear-fired power stations, they're getting most of their power from gas. So, I mean, does anybody in the Labor government actually understand these basic realities? I mean, and I have to use a word which I think is the only word to use in the context of Chris Bone, does that twerp actually understand these basic functionalities that you've got to generate the power from somewhere, and when the wind don't blow and the sun don't shine, where's it going to come from?
I find it absolutely amazing. It's like them jumping out of a plane and taking the whole economy and all of us with them, saying somewhere between the plane and the ground we'll invent a parachute. We don't have one. It's just crazy. Terry McCrann, thank you so much for your time.